We had lots of rain. Gotta empty these trays so my plants don't rot. I still have these tomato plants that I need to plant somewhere. I was gonna take it to my cabin, but I didn't make it. I have this little viola growing in the corner of my bean bed. I'm gonna transplant this into a pot or somewhere else. They're beautiful, aren't they? Let's check what's under the cover. I have to pick some lettuce. Looks really big. The kohlrabi is growing nicely. It's not bulbing yet, but I do have to weed it. Oh, this guy is a little bit bigger. Ooh, there's a big one out here. Here's one that's almost ready for picking. Love kohlrabis. When they're nice and young and tender, I just eat them raw. The beets are tiny. Here are my cabbages. These are spring cabbages. There are some more Napa cabbage coming out slowly but surely. We had such a nice rain last night. Here's the rutabaga. Here's the spinach. I did plant some more spinach. I know I planted a Swiss chard. Oh, it's right here. The Swiss chard is growing nicely too. And then that's the cilantro. Not doing so well, only because I think the lettuce needs to be picked, so it won't cover it up. More rutabaga. And I think I planted more rutabaga in that bed. These are all green onions that I grew from seeds in pots, and then I planted them in here with the carrots. The parsnips are not doing so good. I mean, I have like one or two. This row, there's one that's coming out. I replanted them. These are my carrots, 2 rows of carrots. Here are the strawberries that were between the broad beans. It looks like those that didn't make it will not make it at all. So that's fine, but I still have plenty. Look at the broad beans are trying to sprout again. Remember, I left the roots in on purpose. So I planted some beets here, and I planted potatoes back here that are not coming yet. I planted them about a week ago. What else we got here? Oh, these are growing. These are the rutabagas. Wow. Those are really doing well. I just put the rest of the bag of rutabaga in here, the seeds. That will be a lot of them, and I'm gonna actually transplant these once they get bigger. so they can be more spaced out. Did plant some lettuce and other things in here that are not coming up yet. I did plant some cauliflower. I only had 1 or 2 seeds left in the bag, so I think that's all I'm gonna get, right? Broccoli is not doing anything yet. And I ended up planting some leftover corn seeds from last year, so I don't know how they're gonna do. I planted them back here behind the broad beans. None of them are coming up yet, so we'll check back and see how they're doing. More strawberries. None of these are flowering, or only one flowered so far. And I have a rosemary plant here that survived. Here's a strawberry that flowered, and I actually have a berry there. 2 berries. I have high hopes that some of these other ones will fruit this year. The raspberry is doing so well. We're gonna have a lot. I'm gonna have to tie these up a little bit so they don't shade the strawberries. These are the climbing beans that I planted directly from seed, and you can see that this has 4 plants. Most of them just have 2, which is what I want, but then here I don't see them coming up, so I'm gonna take those, dig these up and divide them into this space. These runner beans I raised in pots, so they are obviously bigger than those. They're the same kind. This is the Cobra French climbing bean. I do have to weed. After the rain, weeds are just crazy. And then we have the peppers back there. And they haven't been growing a lot because it's been cold. And these are the other climbing beans. They're doing great. They actually have flowers. Yes! That's the first flower I noticed. And then all the onions. Some of them red, some of them yellow. This guy is huge. I wonder if that's actually a green onion, this guy here. Here's one that's getting big as well. Lovely. These potatoes I planted for the purpose of getting more seed potatoes. These are the fingerling potatoes. Here's a big feed and such. That's gonna allow me to, as I said, get more seed potatoes. So I'm not gonna be eating these. And then I planted some bush beans only because this is where the garlic was, and I want to replenish the soil with nitrogen. So the beans will do that for me, and I will get more beans, which is fine. There was some leftover beans I was given, so bean seeds that I was given, so I just planted those. and they're doing well here. So again, weeding is in order. This row again is rutabaga. Guess what? I'm gonna have plenty of rutabaga, and that's what my goal was. This whole row is rutabaga, and the front is more spinach, and they're finally coming. So this whole row is gonna be spinach. And actually, this cold weather is really helping them, so that's a plus. I want to be able to freeze some spinach this year. Let's check on the tomatoes. As you saw me, I actually did trim these and tie them, right? This is not tied, but I may have to go around again and trim some more. They are definitely growing. And some of them I didn't tie it because they were so small, but they're getting bigger, and those are huge now. I mean, they must have grown about 30%. Looking good though. This last bed we're gonna check on is celeriac, these two rows, and actually I'm gonna pull out some of the old ones because I'm not finding it very tasty, even the green, when it's the second year. It was nice to have them in the garden because I had some green in winter, but now that I have the new plants growing, the fresh ones, I can get rid of the old ones that are going to flower anyway. So that will give me a little bit more space for something, but here is my zucchini. This is doing wonderfully. So this was started in pot. And this one was started in pot. And this guy was directly sown. So you can see the difference between what you get if you're growing it in pot a couple of weeks before you can plant them out. So this has 2 weeks of head start. But you can see that you can still put it in directly in the ground, even today. Now for the cucumber, again, these were raised in pots, these 3. But I also planted some directly, and I don't know if they're getting anywhere because I don't see them. So there's supposed to be 3 cucumber plants here, which are not growing from seeds. So we'll have to see how it goes, if they make it. What am I doing today? So these tomato plants were meant for my cabin because I always spend more than I need. But I didn't make it to the cabin. I had other priorities, and then I ended up with these plants. And to be honest, we are right now at the very end of May. Nobody wants extra tomato plants anymore because they all planted their tomatoes already. But look at it, it's already flowering. So I'm gonna have to find space for them. But isn't that always a challenge? I want to plant more, but where do I do it? So behind the broad beans, as I mentioned, there is corn that may or may not come up. But the broad beans that I'm waiting to harvest for seeds, I'm gonna go ahead and plant these tomatoes in between. And also back here I don't have any corn, so I definitely can squeeze them in right behind the potatoes. I think it will be okay, and there's a lot, so these are just the individual ones. But then I have these in clumps still. And I already tossed some of it because there were some that was really tiny and weak. But these are nice, so I will make sure that they will get a chance. I'm gonna trim them up and plant them nicely in this bed. So I'll show you when that's done. You don't need to watch me planting, you've seen it enough. This is what it looks like today after a rainy day. It's beautiful. I ended up cutting down the rest of my broad beans that I was saving for seeds. So what I'm gonna do is leave them on the plant to cure a little longer. I'm gonna probably just hang them up, tie them up and hang it in the basement for a couple of weeks. And then I'm gonna harvest the seeds out of this. It's about to rain again, so I planted my tomatoes after I cut down the rest of the red beans and took care of the beans, spaced them out a little better. This is what it looks like. See you next time.